Okay, class. So, we're doing the drafting plan for the set ground plan for the show we read, Curious Savage. So, your first step needs to be setting up drafting plate as usual. If you don't remember how to do that, you can click on the video in the card and see how to set that up. But basically, you need a 1/4 of an inch border all the way around, and your drafting title block in the bottom right hand corner. On the title block for this one, the name of the show goes in the top line, Curious Savage in this case. The name of this drawing, which is Set Ground Plan. Third line is your name. The scale, 1/4 inch equals 1 foot 0 inches. Date, you put the date that you complete the drawing and are turning it in. And then for the, I just want to blank on this. Oh, the plate number, you do 1 of 4 because we're going to do 4 aspects to this project. Alright, so the first thing we need to do after you set up your drafting plate is we need to find the center point on these 2 sides and these 2 sides. So all 4 sides we need to find center. Now you can sit here and use your ruler and measure it out and do the math, or you can you fold it in half so you have the edges aligned. Do not crease because we want to avoid creases. We're just going to put our pencil in here and pull out. And do that on the other side. Line up the edges. Put the pencil in. Push against the paper as I pull. And what that does is it leaves a pencil mark at the center line. So now I'll do that for the short edges. Once again, line the edges, pencil in, pull again as you pull out. Now I'm not going all the way across, I'm just putting a little mark on the end so that I can then line up the ruler or straight edge. So now I have a pencil mark on all 4 sides showing me the center of those sides. Now, from here I can use the fold of my paper scale ruler as a straight edge, or I can use a regular ruler. Because I have one, I'm going to be using this plastic triangle just to help me keep my lines straight. So I'm going to line up going from the top of the page to the bottom of the page, and I'm going to draw the center line for stage. Now remember, center line is notated by a long dash, a short dash, a long dash, a short dash. I'm going to start my line at my 1/4 inch border, not the edge of the page, because I'm going to erase everything that's outside my border. So I'm going to start there. I'm going to do a long dash, skip, short dash, long dash, skip, short dash, skip, long dash, short dash, long dash, short dash, and so forth. And I'll end at the bottom. So now I have long dash and short dashes alternating. I can go ahead and erase the marks that are outside my border. So now I have a center line. I'll later label the center line, but I don't want to write it in now because I may be having to draw symbols over the top of that. Now we're going to draw horizontally, we're going to draw our plaster line. And so again, I'm lining my straight edge up to my center marks that I created. Now the plaster line is just an dash marks all the way across, even dash marks all the way across. Go in here and kind of open up dash marks where the line had gone over, erase outside anything that's outside my borders, and I now have my center line going from top to bottom, and my plaster line going, and this will give us on our stage our XY axis for where to place the set pieces. Now we need to draw in our proscenium archway. So the proscenium archway is where our plaster line comes from. It runs along the back edge of the proscenium arch, because that's the side that's always made of plaster. That's why it's called a plaster line. So we're going to measure 3 feet on a 1/4 inch scale, or 3/4 of an inch, along our plaster line, and we're just going to make it a solid line. Is that it? We're going to do that. And now I'm going to go down 3/4 of an inch, or 3 feet on a 1/4 inch scale. Measured. And then just kind of close off that box back to the and that gives me the first of the proscenium arches. I'm going to do the same on the other side. So we're basically just making a 3/4 inch by 3/4 inch box on either side of the plaster line. Alright, so that gives me my 2 points of my proscenium arch, and the plaster line goes along the back edge of that. And we need to put diagonal lines to show that these boxes are part of the building of our set, of our stage, and not part of our set. So for that, I'm just going to draw somewhat evenly spaced diagonal lines to fill the box. the other side. Alright. Now we're going to add in an apron to the bottom of our stage, just to kind of help give an end point. Now for this, you can make your apron whatever you want it. You can have it come up and be squared off, or you can just do a simple arc to show a rounded off apron. It doesn't have to be precise, it doesn't have to have any specific measurement, it is whatever you want to make it. Just have an apron. Alright, so this now gives us our stage. And on this stage we need to create our set. Now we are doing a box set, so you need a minimum of 3 walls. You can do your walls any given number of ways. You can do the traditional trapezoidal box of 3 walls, or you can do a more avant-garde or non-realistic set, more artistic, and have the walls going in different directions. For this demo, I'm going to do a more traditional trapezoidal 3-walled box set. So I'm first going to decide from my plaster line how far back do I want the back wall of the straight wall of the 3-sided wall. Now I can try and estimate this by using my scale ruler set to the 1/4 inch scale side. 1/4 inch equals 1 foot. And I can try to estimate how far back of the stage, how much of the stage going back behind the proscenium arch do I want to use. Keeping in mind I'm coming out front of the proscenium arch to the edge of my apron is however many feet that is. So I can use that to judge how far back I want. Or for this, you just can eyeball it too. Because I kind of want mine to be set deeper back so that I can put more things in it, because you do have to also create all the furniture pieces. So I'm going to do a light line. It goes almost all the way across. I said a light line because I'm not going to use the full line, but I don't know exactly where I want it to end. And so I want to give myself as much room as possible, and I can always erase what I don't use. And I'll go over darker the parts that I do use. So from here, I need to come up with the 2 angled walls. Now remember, with a box set, we don't want our side walls going straight. So if I use the straight edge of this ruler to symbolize the wall, if it's going straight back at a 90-degree angle like a normal room is, then any of the audience members sitting down here can't see that wall. But if we angle it out, then people sitting here can still see the wall and any action that takes place beside that wall. And that looks like a pretty decent angle to me, so that's what I'm going to draw. And because I have the back wall and the proscenium arch to indent, I'm going to go ahead and draw that line darker. And then I'm going to come over to the other side and try to, as best I can, eyeball that same angle on the other side. Now you can get a protractor out and use more precision if you know how to use a protractor to get the exact angle this is. Or for this, you can just eyeball it like I'm doing right here. So now that I have the two angles, I can come back to this back wall and darken in the parts that connect. So now I have the three walls of my set. Now I can go in and erase this very light line, but because I drew it light enough first, I can just leave it too. Now I might decide to leave it for now, and then later after I put other things in here, I may be like, no, I need to get rid of it to kind of clean it up. Either way will work. I am going to go ahead and put in my center line notation. Since I have the back wall here, and I know I'm not going to put any... Actually, I might put set pieces behind it. Actually, I will have to put set piece behind it, so I'm going to wait on that. Or I can actually put my center line mark down here below the apron, because I'm not going to have any set pieces there. So remember, the symbol for the center line is a C for center, a C for center, with an overlapping L. So you have center line. Okay, now from here, I need to decide where along my walls am I putting windows, where along my walls am I putting doors. Now I just eyeballed the length of my walls based off of where they fell on my stage. Now because I did the precision, air quotes, precision measurement of finding center and then doing 3/4 by 3/4 proscenium arch, whatever I make these lines to make these walls, they will fit now in the stage model box that we use in class. So from here, it didn't really matter what the size of this line was, but it is going to matter the size of the windows, the size of the doors, and roughly where I place them. So I need to take into consideration those sizes. Now, if you did your living room project, you have a couple of ideas of how big windows are, how big an average doorway is. And so you can use that measurement of your doorways and your windows to set your doors here. If you didn't, you might want to go measure those and figure out at least a rough estimate. I'm going to estimate for this demo a 3-foot doorway for a single door. And for this demo, I'm going to put it roughly center of this one wall over here. So I'm going to mark 3 feet. Draw a little door casing. So I have my door casing. The dotted lines represent that that is a walk-through area on this wall. Now I need to draw in the physical door. Since it was a 3-foot opening, I need to make sure my door is drawn at 3 feet long so that it fits in the doorway. So now I have the open door. I'm going to draw in the curve of the... Now, if you have a compass, you traditionally would put one point of the compass here and then draw your arc, so it would be this perfect arc. If you don't have a compass, you kind of do have a compass in that your wrist forms a natural compass. That's how I was able to do this arch fairly easily, was using the natural pivot of my wrist to create a compass swing. So I'm going to kind of eyeball that swing. I'm just going to kind of hover over it a little bit until I feel comfortable that I've got the swing motion down, because I want to try to do this in just one stroke so that keep it smooth. And there I have it. So now I have my doorway. Now remember, this is where the audience is seen, so I want my door to hinge from the upstage side. So that way, as the door swings open, the actor standing in the doorway is seen almost immediately as the door opens. If I have it swing downstage, then the actor is hidden until the door becomes almost completely opened. But if I have it up here, if my pencil acts as the doorway, as soon as it starts opening, pivoting open, the audience can start seeing the person. So we always try to want to have, as best we can, have our doors open, swinging upstage. Alright, so I'm going to put one door on this side. I'm going to put another door on the opposite side. But for the hay of it, I'm going to do a double door. Just because maybe you want to do a double door and you want to see what that would look like. So if a single door is 3 feet, then a double door is going to be twice that, or 6 feet. I'm going to eyeball where along the wall I want the door to go. It's not quite center, but that's okay. So I'm going to turn it around this way. Eyeballing where I want my door to go. It is not quite center. I have it a little bit more upstage from the center of the line for spits and giggles. That's all. So I'm going to mark 6 foot, 3 foot, and 0 foot. So I'm marking the 0 and 6 foot. So that I can create the door casing. And then that 3 gives me the center where the 2 doors will meet. And I'm going to go ahead and draw a line, because as if it was 2 separate doorways, because sometimes when you have double doors you put a little bar in the center so that the doors hit that bar and don't just swing back and forth. Now I'm going to do my dashed line along the back edge. Because this is kind of a crummy eraser, I'm just going to pretty much erase that line and then redraw in my dashes for so now I have a 2-door archway and I need to put in my doors. Now for this one, just to be different, I'm going to have the doors swing, well, let's see, do I want the doors to swing on stage or do I want the doors to swing off stage? Or I could do an in and out where one door swings off stage and another door swings on stage. Decisions. Let's be different. Let's do an in and out door. It kind of takes a little bit away from the hominess feel of the cloister, but it is still a institution, so maybe that would be a way of showing that it's still an institution and not really a home. So I need my ruler, 1/4 inch scale ruler. I'm going to have the door that swings onto stage be the one that is hinged at the top corner for the same reason the one over here is hinged at the upstage corner. So I'm going to make my 3-inch mark, or not 3-inch, 3 feet mark. Sorry. And then I'm going to have the downstage door be the one that swings into the back, off stage. So from the back corner, I'll go so now I have an out door and an in door. I'm going to draw in the swings of those. Remember, the swing goes from our center point, and I want to turn my page, since I don't have a compass, so that I can position the pivot of my hand to the roughly the pivot point of the door. Like that. So now we have a single 3-foot door on this way, and then a double in and out door, 3-foot doors on this side. Alright. So now, before we move on from our doors, we need to put some backstage masking. So what is backstage masking? Backstage masking is how I hide all the backstage area. Extra props, technicians running back and forth because something's not working and they're trying to get from one side of the stage to the other, or maybe somebody needs to do a quick change. And so we need to hide that. And so what we do is we put flats hiding this area, so when the door opens wide, the audience looks through the door, they don't see backstage area. Now the simplest way to do this is just to have a black curtain hung up back here to hide everything. That's easy, that's simple, but it's boring. What's better to do is to have a painted flat that is then painted to look like the hallway or the next room that that door is going to. And so to do that, we just draw our flat. We're going to space it back a little bit. So I'm going to give about a 3 to 4 foot backing from the back edge of our door frame. I'm going to do 4 foot. And it doesn't have to be this far back. I just am sitting here thinking, oh, how much space do I need to give the actors to walk around? And so now I have a flat, so when this door opens, anyone looking through the doorway, oh, see this line of sight I've created from someone sitting over here. I run my pencil along their sight line, they can see back here. What do? Well, I can extend my flat out further, or I can add a little side piece to it that angles off. And the advantage to doing that is it gives the view of backstage area more depth, and it also helps make this wall a little more secure and self-standing because of the angled. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. And I'm estimating about, did I do 3 or did I do 4? I did 4. So I'm going to be consistent back here and do 4. Now, how am I justifying that with this set? Well, it is an institution, so from one room to the other room is probably going to be kind of big, and so by having more space out there, it kind of will help give the illusion that there are larger rooms or hallways that are being created. Now, I am going to have to go in and erase some of those extra lines from earlier because they are now starting to interfere. Now on this flat, I have the corner pulled down a little bit further so that as the doors open, the audience may more clearly see the corner, and they may think that, oh, that is a corner of a hallway. Whereas over here, the corner is a little higher up, so maybe only certain members of the audience would see that corner. And so you can kind of also play with the effect based off of that. So I have doors and masking, door and masking. Now I need to put in my window. Now for this show, it needs a window seat. So it's not just a simple window. We need to do something a little different here. And so that's what we're going to do next. Alright, so we have to do a window seat for this drawing. And so I wanted to first look at how a window typically is drawn. It's kind of like our door casing, except no dashed lines. And then this little part back here represents the physical glass in the window pane. And then we have a platform right here. A platform is just squares with an X through it to show that it has a height to it. And then you would write in how high off the ground that is. A window seat, for this project, we're just going to basically combine the two concepts of a window and a platform. So I've drawn out a couple of different versions of a window seat that you can use. So if you look at this one right here, we have the flat wall, and then I went ahead and did dashed lines to represent the opening in the wall. And then we have a little trapezoidal shape, kind of like our stage. And this one has window panes on all three sides of the trapezoid. And then we have the X going through the seat part where you would sit on, because it's basically a raised platform. I'm not concerned about the height of that at this point, but normally you would write in inches the height and then circle it, but we're just going to not worry about that for this. And then here's another version. This time it's solid wall on the two sides, and the glass you see here, this little section right here at the back represents the glass, is only on the back wall of the trapezoid. Also see that our platform extends out past our wall, and so it's the cushions and the seats stick out a little bit into the room. So that is an option that you can also do. Next is a much more complicated one, where instead of having dashed line across the opening, the wall itself trapezoids out, and I've got a little window and a big long window and then a little window, and then the three separate platform areas to represent this window seat. So you need to look at your mood board and your visual research and look at what type of window seat you're wanting to do. A window seat like this would be representative of something kind of like that. I have my big long window in the back, short windows on the side, and the three platforms making up this little curved seat. And that's what I have here. 3 windows, and then 3 platforms, and open space in the... Whereas these other ones are more representative of something more like that, where it's flat with the wall and has only one window. And in this case it has bookcases on the side of it, or you could have windows there. So go back to your research and see which style of window seat you're wanting to do. And here's 3 different ways that you can go about drawing the window seat into your set. So I'm going to go back to mine, and I'm probably going to lean to do something like this because I think this will be fun to do for the rest of the project. Now that I've looked at my research images and I've practiced out the different types of and designs of window seats, I went with the more complicated one and added it into the back wall of my set. So now I have a door stage left with its backstage masking, door stage right with its masking, and now window seat up center. Well, little more to the stage right. I did not put my window seat directly center, but I need masking here as well. Since I have these windows here that look out, I need to put masking for that as well. And so just like I did for the doors, anywhere where I have windows, I need to have some kind of flat that I would paint with the outdoor scene to show what is outside the windows. Now, for this project, I'm not concerned about leaving space back here for a crossover so that actors that leave out stage left can cross over and come out stage right, because I'm going to assume this theater is like our theater and has a hallway that goes around the backstage that is used for crossovers. If it didn't, then we would need to take into account leaving a 6-foot space from the back wall to use as a crossover. But we're not going to worry about that for this project. Okay, and so I've got windows, doors, and masking for those things. But wait, there's more. Yes, that's right, there's more. We have our set walls, we have our doors, our windows, but now our stage is blank and barren, and we need to fill it. So this is where you need to go back to your script or your script analysis and look at what set pieces are needed. What bookshelves, what chairs, tables, and what are you going to fill this space with? Now, similar to how we did the furniture for our living room, I'm going to suggest you do the same thing of you get another blank page. Now, for this, it can be just regular notebook paper because you're going to draw out all the furniture pieces and cut them out so that you can then move them around on the stage until you find where you want it to be, and then you're going to draw it in. So I'm going to go off and draw out all my furniture pieces on this blank page, and then we'll come back and cut them out, and I'll show you kind of what I mean. So I've gone ahead and I've drawn just a couple of pieces of furniture. I have a piano, a bookcase, a little table, 2 big comfy chairs, and a sofa. And so with these, it's just kind of starting points. I can cut these out and we can look at where we want to place these on the set. Now that I have the furniture pieces cut out, you can now do similar to what we did with the living room drafting project. You can move your furniture around and find the best places you want to put things. Figure out where does it fit the best, where you might need to change some things. Now, don't forget to bring some of your furniture pieces down into the apron because you have all the space that you can fill. And this is not all the furniture pieces that you'll need for this, for Curious Savage, but this is just kind of a get started point. So just kind of arrange things. So I think for this demo, I think this is how I'm going to, pretty much how I'm going to have my pieces set. And so now that I've decided this is where I want to put them, I can go in and trace actually draw in the furniture pieces in these positions. So I can either remeasure, or I can just hold the piece down and kind of trace around it. So now I've taken the cutout furniture pieces and I've transferred them to the actual drawing. And so now I have a completed set ground plan for my Curious Savage set design. I have the walls, the doors, the windows, and the furniture in the room. Now, when you're placing your furniture, do be mindful if you are wanting to have the curtain close. The curtain usually follows along the line of the plaster line, and so I have a chair right in the middle of that line, as well as the edge of this piano, so I would not be able to have the curtains drawn close for this set. If that's something you're wanting for your set, you would need to make sure you leave that space through there open for the curtains so that they don't close on top of something. Other than that, this is pretty much done for this demo. Yours will, there's a few extra furniture pieces you'll need to make for yours than this. Remember, don't do your doors and windows exactly like mine. This needs to be your design. But this is just a basic rough draft of how to do this project. So go to your set ground plan, and then in the next video we'll show how to take ground plan and turn it into an elevation.